Why do people pick a certain brand? I've always wondered that. Skippy's better than Jiff, or Peter Pan's better than Skippy. So you know what? We're going under the microscope, and then we're going to introduce some rotifers. Those are microscopic organisms, to see how they fare. Let's go. Before we look at the peanut butter by itself, I want to see what happens when something living runs into it. These are rotifers. They're tiny aquatic animals that swim, feed, and constantly explore the microscopic world around them. Before we begin, let me show you a few parts of their anatomy. Those tiny spinning hairs at the front are called cilia. They act like microscopic paddles, pulling both the rotifer and tiny food particles through the water. Just behind them is a mastix. It's a muscular grinding organ that crushes food before it's swallowed. The food then moves into the stomach, where it's broken down and digested. Even though they're only a fraction of a millimeter long, rotifers have a complete digestive system and are constantly feeding as they move through the water. Oops, I almost forgot. That movement you see in the middle of its chest, that's actually muscles. It's pushing the food down to the stomach. Let's introduce the solution to the first rotifer and we'll see how he fares. Okay, first up it's Skippy's, and you'll see the solution come on the right side of the screen and moving left. So there it is right there. Did you guys see it? Now let's watch his reaction. And the first line of defense for the rotifers is they roll up into a ball and they'll stay there until the environment improves. But this guy is doing very well. So it looks like he's still foraging. You see his cilia moving around, and you can still see the solution moving to the left. That is Skippy peanut butter. I mixed it with distilled water, and then I used a pipette to introduce it to the bottom of the cover slip. So it works pretty good. But this guy is doing well. So let's go ahead and move to sample B. Let's put Jiff under the microscope with the rotifer and see how he does. So here's Jiff, but as I was looking for a rotifer, I ran into these two guys. There's one on the left. I believe the one in the middle is a rotifer, but the other one could be a tetrahymena, which is an oval or pear-shaped. It's fast, smooth moving, and it's covered with tiny cilia that beat in synchrony. They feed on bacteria, and they often gather where organic matter is breaking down. But here's where I hit him really hard with the peanut butter, the Jiff, the solution. It's coming from your right to the left. And here's what I did. I think I made a mistake, but check it out. So boom, there it is. You know what I did, guys? I really honestly put too much on the slide, and I blasted those dudes across to the other side of the whole cover slip. So I couldn't find him for 10 minutes. So you know what? Let me go find another rotifer, and here he is. Sorry about that. Okay, here's our real rotifer. Here's the guy we're going to test with Jiff. And the solution will be coming from the bottom left of the screen. So we'll take a peek at this. And there it is. Let's watch his reaction. And you know, guys, it's a peanut butter solution, so I don't expect these guys to really curl up in a ball and get crazy, but I'm just showing you what their reaction is to something that we eat mostly almost every day. So this guy is doing pretty well. I mean, zoom into 400 times so you get a better look at him, but you see his mastix and his cilia working, and the muscle right there is pushing the debris or food down to his stomach. That's pretty cool. So he's still eating. So I don't see any issues with this guy. I think we're good to go. And let's go ahead and move over to sample C. And that is Peter Pan. So here are Peter Pan rotifer. I'm not sure if his name is Peter Pan, but here's our specimen. So I'm going to introduce the solution from the right, moving left. So take a peek on the right side of your screen and watch the Peter Pan solution mixed with the distilled water. And let's watch his reaction. So here it comes right there, guys. Top right, sorry about that, top right. And I hit him really hard, so let me focus for you. And usually in a contaminated environment, they curl up right away until they test the water, but he has not. He knows his environment has changed, and he's kind of moving around, testing the water a little bit, see where he can go, but I think he's okay. Let's go ahead and watch him for a little bit and see if he either runs or swims or goes into a ball, but let's take a peek. Well, I've been watching him for about 10 minutes, and he's doing the same thing, so he's okay. So what I want to do now is show you guys what peanut butter actually looks like under the microscope without the rotifers, of course. Or this footage is really cool. I use methylene blue, and what that does, it's a dye. So it dyes some of the peanut butter so you guys can see some of the minerals and some of the stuff that's in peanut butter. So check this out. So here we are with Skippy at 40 power, and already looks surprisingly uniform. Instead of large clumps or obvious gaps, the peanut butter forms like a dense, continuous layer with only a few larger pockets scattered throughout. Even at this low magnification, you can tell this isn't just a smooth paste. It's a tightly packed mixture of finely ground peanut butter particles suspended in oil. You guys see that? So let me bump it up to 100 times and the structure becomes much more interesting. The peanut particles appear evenly distributed throughout the sample, while tiny oil-filled spaces begin separating the material into rounded clusters. That smooth texture you feel with a spoon is actually made up of thousands of microscopic fragments packed closely together. So 1,000 times, what looked perfectly creamy to the naked eye becomes an intricate microscope landscape. Individual peanut fragments, plant fibers, and tiny oil droplets create a complex network that gives the peanut butter its texture. One thing that stands out is how consistent this sample remains across the entire field of view. There are no dramatic changes in particle size or large empty spaces, giving Skippy a remarkably uniform appearance under magnification. So let's go to sample B, which is Jiff, and see how this looks. So here's Jiff at 40 power, and immediately it has a different appearance, right? Instead of one smooth uniform layer, the sample contains areas that are much denser than others. You can already see larger pockets where the oils have collected between the finely ground peanut material, giving this sample a more varied structure right from the start. So as we move up to the 100 power, that variation becomes even more noticeable. The peanut particles, they aren't arranged as evenly as a previous sample. Some regions appear tightly packed, while others contain larger oil-filled spaces separating the material. It's a reminder that what feels perfectly smooth on a piece of bread is actually a surprisingly complex mixture under magnification. And as we bump it up to 400 times, the landscape becomes even more detailed. We're looking at fractured peanut tissue, microscopic plant fibers, and tiny droplets of oil woven all together into a highly textured network. So rather than appearing perfectly consistent across the slide, this sample shows a mixture of dense clusters and more open regions, creating a structure that's noticeably less uniform. So at 1,000 times, the hidden architecture of Jiff really comes into focus, you guys. So what looked like an ordinary spoonful of peanut butter is actually an intricate web of peanut fragments, suspended oils, and microscopic particles layered throughout the sample. Every field of view looks a little different. It suggests a more varied internal structure than we could appreciate at lower magnifications. It's incredible how something so familiar can reveal an entirely different world once you zoom in. So let's go ahead and move to sample C, and that's Peter Pan. Let's check it out. Okay, here we are, Peter Pan, our last sample. It's noticeably different in appearance right away, don't you think? Instead of forming one continuous layer, this sample contains larger clusters separated by lighter spaces. I mean, even at low magnification, the peanut butter appears less uniform with distinct regions where oils and peanut material have collected differently across the slide. So zooming into 100 power, those differences become much clearer. The sample begins separating into rounded pockets surrounded by finely ground peanut particles. Compared to the previous samples, the internal structure appears more varied, with larger open regions breaking up the overall texture. It's another reminder that peanut butter isn't a smooth paste at all, but a complex suspension of microscopic plant material and oils. So at 1,000 times, Peter Pan reveals one of the most distinctive microscopic landscapes, I think, of the three brands. What do you think? Large spherical oil droplets are scattered throughout the field, surrounded by tiny peanut fragments and delicate plant fibers. So rather than appearing tightly packed, the structure feels more open, with individual components standing out much more clearly. I mean, it's fascinating how three products that look nearly identical on a grocery store shelf can reveal such a different microscopic architecture once we zoom into their hidden world. And let's get out of this microscopic view here. Hey folks, so today we looked at three of the most popular peanut butter brands. And while they all started with the same basic ingredient, they didn't look identical once we zoomed in for the microscope. Some samples showed a more uniform structure, others revealed larger oil pockets, or a more varied microscopic landscape. Then we introduced each one to live rotifers. Those were pretty cool. It wasn't as a human health test, and not as proof as that one peanut butter is better than the other, but simply to observe how these tiny animals responded under the same conditions. The microscope can't tell us which peanut butter tastes the best, and it certainly can't tell us which one you should buy. But it can show us something most of us have never seen, that even everyday foods have an incredible hidden world beneath the surface. If this video changed the way you look at something as ordinary as peanut butter, then we've accomplished exactly what this channel is all about. Oh, and if you're a sushi lover, check this one out. You won't want to miss that one. You guys, thank you for watching. I'm Will. Take care of yourselves and others.